This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation, welcome to This Week in the NFL. A little late this week. Unfortunately, I had John and I recorded a nice episode for you guys, and my computer crashed right at the end of it, and we lost the file. That was on Wednesday, so unfortunately, you're not going to get our Thursday night game picks, and we'll keep those in the vault. It's all good, but we're recording here Friday afternoon, getting ready for a big weekend of football. This Week in the NFL. I'm your host, the Cowboy, joined by Mr. D'Amato. John, what's going on?
Roger, you're covering the truth. You got summoned to Gillette Stadium for the emergency kicker tryout for Gostkowski's replacement, and unfortunately, you came up a little short. Looks like Mike Nugent beat you out.
That's true. I was at Gillette Stadium I was at Gillette Stadium last night. It was a great time. I didn't kick, but I did. I did catch some passes on the field thrown by someone who was not. It wasn't exactly Brady to Edelman, we'll say that, but it was still a good time.
Did it rhyme with Brady? Was it Katie? Or?
Katie was there. She was filming it. So next time I see, I'll show you the stuff. But
definitely,
good time.
You deserve it. It's a good time. Congratulations. Another, the celebrating stuff for you all year. You turned 40. You stayed at the same job 15 years. Most of my friends can't even keep a job for 15 minutes. So kudos to you.
I used to be that guy. So it's amazing to me too. 15 years goes by like nothing. It's scary how fast this life can be. So got to enjoy it, right, John? That's why I always see you. I see you. You don't miss a big event. I try to, I stay busy, but it's okay to be busy. But I try to do all the things that I want to do. You're only here once. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my job right now is CEO of LivingYourBestLife.com. That's my
and you are on the Fortune 500, my friend. You are on the Fortune 500.
But I have a confession. In the show that got destroyed, I picked the Rams. So we might as well get into it. Even though that game was a coin flip, it could have went either way. But I did.
He's an honest guy. He's an honest guy. I picked the Seahawks, but it is what it is. So this was a very good game, very entertaining Thursday night game.
Awesome.
2 in a row, really. We've. I tell you that the real story of the game to me is the Rams defense just disappearing. I mean, they looked at after week 3, it looked like they were like a dominant force. And I mean to get just starched by Jameis Winston for 55 points and then to come out, I mean, this was definitely one of those games where the last team that had the ball was going to win, and Zerline just missed the field goal, but the Rams could just do nothing defensively to stop Wilson and Carson, so the Seahawks were able to run, the Seahawks were able to pass. Goff and the boys did their best to keep up, but I kind of felt like the best team won. I feel like the Seahawks were just a little bit of a better team out there.
That game was we see these games every week where it's just a coin flip that comes down to a kick, a play here. I have been disappointed and shocked at the Rams' lack of defense the last couple of weeks, but I just chalk it up to they took the Bucs lightly. It was about 95 degrees that day, and they were on the field a long time. They're worn out, and they got to come right back Thursday to play a dynamic Seattle offense with the right now probably the MVP of the league, Russell Wilson. So I just think it's going to be a 2-week thing, and then the Rams are going to get back to it.
They're going to get back on track.
Yeah, I have faith in them. But this was a great game. We were talking earlier. Thursdays have kind of taken over as the better game for over Mondays. The Monday games have been kind of lacking, and this was terrific. But it just shows Seattle, like even when they're good though, they just walk that fine line. Even in their Super Bowl years, they win by the thinnest of margins.
Thin margin, absolutely.
Like they easily could have lost that in the year they won the Super Bowl. That championship game was a Richard Sherman deflection. They were easily could have lost that game. And then the year before, when they went back, they took a miracle over a Green Bay, and more of a Green Bay losing for them. So even Seattle at their best is a real thin line, and to rely on a kick or a break here, it's not always going to go your way.
Exactly. Sometimes you're going to throw an interception from the 1 yard line in the end zone and lose the game. It's going to happen sometimes.
That comes down too. But and also that big play was only a play that Russell Wilson could make. Just that throw in the corner of the end zone, terrific play to lock it.
Was a great play. He was amazing the whole game. So real good stuff there. That division looks like the best division in football. Right, I mean, you kind of have to say it, right? The Cardinals suck, but we'll see about the Niners. But I mean, they have a good Cleveland. I mean, they could be sitting at 4-0. They have Cleveland coming in on Monday night. I mean, that's a very winnable game. And then you have the Seahawks at 4-1, and the Rams, defending NFC champion, at 3-2.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good test for the Niners. If you want to chop it up about that now, that Niners Browns game, I'm looking forward to on Monday. It's gonna be a test for the Niners because the Browns defense has really stepped up their game. Their offense and all their shiny Baker and all their big mouths get all the attention, but it's quietly the Browns defense has been the key to keeping them in it at 2-2, and I look forward to a good performance and to put the first L on the 49ers on Monday.
Yeah, I mean, the 49ers have been I know they're 3-0, but they've been, I mean, it hasn't been a super impressive 3-0, particularly in the last game where they really tried to give that game to Pittsburgh, and Mason Rudolph just wasn't ready to take it. Yeah.
Well, also Connor, that was a huge fumble deep in the
correct
in the zone. But
in general, I think they were the first team in however many years to turn the ball. Would they turn it over 5 times and win?
Yeah, but they've been relying on their run game. Shanahan's drawing up great plays for the run, but that's where the Browns' defensive strength has been in stopping the run. So that's why I look for the Browns to come through, and also the Browns kind of play looser and less pressure on the road.
See, I think I don't think the Niners they haven't been as good as their record. They're a little Jekyll and Hyde. If the game was in Cleveland, I would 100% take the Browns. I think at home, the Niners will figure it out. I think the Niners will do enough to take care of business. And my reasoning is that I think Baker's going to give it up a couple of times. He gives it up a couple of times every game. Can't turn the ball over on the road and expect to win. I think George Kittle, hasn't had a real big game yet. I think this is going to be his breakout game for the season, and I think that the Niners defense, which has been good, will do enough to win a 24-21 kind of game. But it really is another coin flip because it really could go either way. But I just like the Niners at home to go to a week 4-0.
Yeah. Okay. I like once again, I'm pumping up the Browns defense. Behind the defense coordinator was Wilkes, who got kind of a raw deal in Arizona. Just they gave him, he got one of those one and done deals, and he's turned out to be a great coordinator. They got some injuries in the secondary, and they still dominated the Ravens.
They should consider making him the head coach.
Well, we'll get into that as the season goes along. Yeah. So for Kitchens, we see a lot of guys that have offensive reputations, and they rely on their defense, like LaFleur so far in Green Bay and Nagy in Chicago. So there's a lot of guys like that that are riding the coattails of their defense.
Oh, absolutely. So that'll be a good one. The Sunday night game's another good game. Indianapolis Colts.
You think
heading to Kansas City?
Thankfully, T.Y. Hilton practiced.
T.Y. Hilton's going to play.
That'll make it a game. Yeah, that was a big difference. That's like one of the. He's got to be like one of the top 5 or 10 guys that's indispensable to his team. You saw they couldn't even beat the Raiders without him.
And we know how bad
the last game.
To be fair to the Raiders, they came out and played a good game. I give them a hard time on here, but that was not a that was a tall order. That was a tall order. Indy's a good team, and the Raiders came out, punched him in the mouth. And Indy really missed Darius Leonard in that game. He's not going to play again, unfortunately, against Kansas City. The reason I think Indy can stay in the game because I think they're the kind of team that can give Kansas City a little bit of trouble in that they're kind of a run-first, ball control sort of offense where they can, they have the ability to go on some long drives against Kansas City's, not so great defense and keep Mahomes off the field and keep the scoring down and limit the possessions for the Chiefs. With that said, I mean, the Chiefs at home are almost certainly going to win the game. And they got some news. It looks like Tyreek Hill, although not playing this week, he did practice all week, so there's a good chance he's back next week. That's just another ridiculous weapon to add for Patty Mahomes. But I think I like the Chiefs, but I think it'll be a little closer than maybe some expect.
I'm not looking forward to this one. It's going to be I think it's going to be an ugly one. Yeah, especially if Leonard's out, that really is going to stop them Colts from getting those 1 or 2 stops that's going to keep them in it. So I don't look forward to it, and because the Raiders just like ran right through them.
The Raiders did move up. The Raiders made their defense look bad. The Colts defense looked bad in that game.
Yeah, they were caught looking ahead. The Raiders with Jacobs just pounded them, and you're down on the Raiders a lot. But the left tackle Trent Brown is a beast. Really opened up some holes for Jacobs, and as they took control of that game.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Carr, it's not really the players on the Raiders that I'm down on.
Yeah, the coach and the quarterback. Yeah.
I just don't think Carr's very good. Who I do like is I love their tight end, Darren Waller.
Yeah, Waller and Jacobs.
And Terrell Williams has been a lot better than I thought he would be as a number one option over there. He's been good. And they do have a pretty good offensive line. Their defense is not very good, but, I guess they could go 6-10.
Well, they're traveling to London this week, and they're going to meet an old friend this week in London.
Good segue, John. Good segue. Chase Daniel leading the charge. Bears against Oakland. We talked about this on Wednesday, but I'll say it again to really hammer home the point that Bears-Vikings last week. Bears got a gift. Trubisky goes down. I said it right when it happened. I said Chase Daniels is flat out better than him, and he is. He is. I understand he's not young, and he's not wasn't the second or third overall pick, and you can't really bench Trubisky because of that draft status. And Chase Daniel is no world beater, but for what they want to do, he's a better fit. He's a better quarterback for that offense for what they want to do because he's generally speaking not going to turn the ball over. I think he's just a better, more accurate passer than Trubisky, and his decision-making is better. So with that defense, they're really looking for a guy to kind of just not lose the game, and that's Chase Daniel's thing. He's not going to lose it for you. So they got some good news. Trubisky's out this week, so gotta love the Bears. Gotta love the Bears. Big in Oakland. Big. I don't think the Raiders' offense is going to be able to do too much in that game.
Khalil Mack's going to be a defensive player of the week.
That's the other thing. Yes, you have
big Khalil Mack.
He's probably going to be a little motivated. He's probably going to be a little motivated. You think he'll go and tackle Gruden at one point on the sideline after his fifth sacks? 5 sacks, and then he goes over and gives him the old DX suck it.
I'm sure he's going to try. But getting back to Daniel, we had discussed last year after the Thanksgiving game when he totally outplayed Stafford, filling in for Trubisky in those couple games. He's a terrific game manager. He's one of the highest paid backups in the league. And we went over a few of the teams, ironically, that would survive if that quarterback went down. And then we talked about Bridgewater and Daniels were up there. Now they're key parts. But he's more of a game manager. I don't think like over a whole season he would probably get exposed. And then they would need somebody a little more dynamic. If they could channel Trubisky with his running ability and ability to make plays. If they could cut down on Trubisky's turnovers, I think they still need his athleticism and his extra talent to get by a couple rounds in the playoffs. I don't think they could. Daniel would be good to get him there, but I don't think Daniels can get him over the hump.
You never know. I mean, he's got like that Trent Dilfer-esque, right, with that defense. If that defense that defense is really, really good.
I picked them for third this year, but I may have to backtrack because right now they're looking better than the Packers and the Vikings right now.
Oh, for sure. Minnesota, we could talk about that. Minnesota's a dumpster fire right now.
There's turmoil in the
big time
offense.
turmoil.
Stefan Diggs when AWOL, he missed a practice. And,
he did, yeah. He's pissed off. Thielen popped off to the media. And I mean, you have these two dynamic receivers, right? Best pair of receivers in the league, most likely. I guess it's arguable, but if not, they're very close, right, to the top of that list. And you got a coaching staff that, I mean, you have a $37 million quarterback, and you got a coaching staff who's just doing everything they possibly can to take the ball out of his hands. And I don't know that they're necessarily wrong for doing it, but
hey, that first game, they want that blueprint for that first game where the Cousins only had to pass 10 times.
I know, but you can't. When you're playing good teams, you have to be able to throw, right? And
yes, of course.
Against Chicago last week, I mean, they kind of stubbornly just stuck to the run, and I mean, they just got worked. Chicago made Cousins look awful. There's turmoil there. You can tell he's a little shell shocked. Now you've heard, I mean, the stuff I've heard this week, and I don't know if I agree with it. I bet you agree with it. That they should that they should trade for Keenum. That they should give up a little, not much, but talk to Denver, give up a low round pick, and bring Keenum back because he's a better fit for that offense. I don't think Case Keenum's any good, really, but I mean, he was better in that offense than Cousins. I mean, for that 1 year.
It's not the same offense though. That was under Shermer. I don't pay attention to any in-season quarterback trade rumors. It never works where a quarterback gets traded and goes into a new team. You got to learn a whole system, a whole offense. When Keenum had a success, that was under Shermer's offense, not the current coordinator.
But they have
whose name escapes me right now. It's the guy that was a big that everybody wanted as the coach, right?
Yes, and it's an Irish name, right?
Yeah, we're pretty good. We'll get it by the end. But anyway, it's not happening right now with the everything going down. And Cousins actually he succumbed to he turned into Thielen's bitch. He agreed. He said he agreed with everything Thielen said after Thielen pretty much threw him under the bus.
I mean, how could he not?
Right? It's gonna be interesting. But I think the Giants are gonna be the tonic for them. This week, unfortunately, the Giants got a lot of injuries. They're down to like fourth and fifth string linebackers, and even last week they had a good game with Jenkins and Peppers made some plays, but that was versus the Redskins, and there were a couple of plays early where the Redskins had guys like Trey Quinn that were wide open, and if it was any other quarterback besides Keenum, they would have hit on a couple touchdowns, and that game would have been a lot closer in MetLife.
Oh, absolutely, but. You do have a shot here, John. I know your expectations are tempered. You don't want to get excited. You don't want to jinx the Giants, but the recipe's all there. So it's one of two things is going to happen in this game. I've been really thinking about this one a lot, John, because I know we talk Giants on here, and one of two things is going to happen. One, the squeaky wheel, Stefan Diggs, they're going to come out because the Giants' defense hasn't been very good and they're not playing well. They're going to come out chucking the ball around, right? And it's going to work, and all of this stuff is going to go away. They're going to score 30-something points against the Giants' depleted defense. Cousins is going to look, like at least a $15 million quarterback, and all's going to be right in the world. So that's one possibility. What I don't think they do, I don't think they come out and just run the ball again. I don't think they can. They have like a mutiny on their team. So they're going to have to try to throw to appease these guys. The other thing that could happen, given that, Cousins comes out, maybe he throws a pick early. Maybe takes a couple of sacks early. Maybe he's a little inaccurate early. And it gets in his head, John. He's already as you mentioned, already giving in on in the media to Thielen, saying, "Yep, I do suck right now," essentially. So the confidence isn't high. That snowballs. The Giants shut them down. The Giants win that game at home behind Danny Dimes. And I think that's what's going to happen, John. I think that's what's going to happen. I got it 21-13, 24-13, something like that. Something like that, where the get-right game for Minnesota is going to send them right into the toilet, and your Giants are going to be sitting at 3-2.
And that would be the first time the Giants would be over 500 in 3 years. It's from your lips to God's ears, but I don't think it's going to happen because you're overlooking Minnesota's defense has been stout. Even amidst this turnover, they gave up 12 points the first week at Atlanta. The second week to Green Bay was only 21 points, 14 to Oakland in week 3, and last week even in a loss they only gave up 16 points. So they haven't. The Minnesota defense has been sturdy, and I think they're going to give Mr. Jones his first tough lesson, and then the Giants got to go right to your boys on Thursday. So it's going to be a tough 2-game losing streak for young Daniel.
Cousins is throwing a pick 6 in this game. You heard it here.
Yeah, he might, but like I said, the Vikings defense will get him by this week and a little cook, and I think they're going to squeeze. I don't think the Giants are ready to beat for that Vikings defense.
All right, we're going to agree to disagree, and
I hope I'm wrong as usual. I usually am. So.
All right, but yeah, no, I think it's an intriguing game with two teams going in in different directions.
I'll take it. Just the fact that you're looking forward to a Giant game is a win for me after the last few years of shit. So I'm happy with that.
The Jones is the kind. These rookie quarterbacks that can move a little bit. That's the kind of guy who can give a real stout defense. Can kind of make some things happen with the pass rush in his face.
But you also see where all that running has done. You saw what happened to Trubisky, and also I know you saw what happened in the New England game with Josh Allen, whose status for this week is still up in the air as we speak on Friday.
Another good segue there, John. So,
hey, that's what I'm here for.
So, Pats Bills, similar to the Chiefs had a very, very tough. We didn't talk much about last week, but the Chiefs had a very difficult game in Detroit. Mahomes showed some real mettle at the end, taking them down the field to win that game. I thought that was fantastic. But the Patriots had a little bit of a more difficult than expected time in Buffalo, too. Buffalo's defense played a great game. Patriots got the win, but it wasn't. They didn't come out and just kick the shit out of them like they've been doing to everybody else. So Buffalo proved themselves as a worthy team. But as you know, JT, our PTBN fearless leader here, he had a few folks over to watch the games. One of those was Cowboy Senior. A lot of our listeners probably know Cowboy Senior from the Sports Lounge days. For those who don't, it's my dad.
He's a very impartial Patriots fan.
Nicest guy in the world, but big Pats fan, and very much a homer. So we're watching the game, and the Jonathan Jones plays happens where Josh Allen he's not sliding, right? But he's running, and Jones just kind of helmet to helmet. I thought it was a bit of a dirty hit. I know, you like the hard-nosed stuff. No matter what, it was a big hit on the quarterback's head, which you're really not supposed to do now, right?
Yeah, but from a neutral observer, it was about half helmet, half shoulder. So, right. I don't, especially what we saw from Burfict, it wasn't
as bad as that, but
obviously not. But I thought it was about half and half. It could have went either way. So
it wasn't great. I don't think it was great, and he did concuss the guy.
Yeah, it does suck that the quarterback gets knocked out.
If you have if it happened to a running back or something, it's one thing. But, the way they protect quarterbacks, you knew it was at least a penalty. So we're watching Cowboy Senior. His first reaction is kind of similar to yours there, John. Couldn't help it. These things happen. I'm surprised. I don't even think that should be a flag. And then, I don't know if you watched the game, the play that had happened on was there was a flag on the offense on the play, so it ended up being offsetting penalties. So it didn't cost the Patriots anything really. And so the
Bills couldn't even benefit from the play. They couldn't even get the 15 yards. That's typical Patriots look.
One senior realized that it was offsetting penalties. he changed his tune a little and went to start. He praised Jonathan Jones. Said Jones must have noticed the flag on the field, assumed it was on the offense, and knew he had a free shot at Allen to take him out of the game. And he said, "You gotta take that shot every time." So that's how I was raised. That's that's my dad. I don't agree with that. For what it's worth, I don't think guys should be trying to hurt other guys out there.
I can just imagine if that happened to Brady, there would be riots in the streets of New England.
Oh, it's fantastic. I was going through my I just got a new phone and it has like less space on it, less storage on it than my old phone. So I had to go and delete some stuff. So I was going through my old videos and I found a video from 2016 or whatever year Deflategate was, and it was a video of Senior at Boneheads explaining away Deflategate to JT and a few other people. And, it's classic. I mean, it was so classic, and like I'll have to play it for you the next time. You know these officials are not really checking the ball, and there's no way it was on it's so funny. So anyway, I digress. So Buffalo, Tennessee this week. This is a D'Amato kind of game, right? This is going to be a slobber knocker, and they're two pretty good teams. They're two pretty good teams.
Not only that, this is the game that, especially if Allen is out, this is a game that you figure that Tennessee would win. But the Tennessee wins the games that you don't think they will, and they lose the ones that you expect them to win. The Titans 8-8. That would be Titan-esque to be at home and to lose to Eric Barkley. That would be a typical Titans.
Matt Barkley. Eric Barkley was the point guard from St. John's, right?
I'm getting old. I know. You're quick to correct, sure. I almost said Ted Nugent when I...
I'm sorry. I just wanted to show off that I remembered who Eric Barkley was.
I'm just glad I got Mike Nugent. I almost said Ted Nugent at the beginning for the kicker. Ted Nugent is a great rock and roller that I'm sure the Patriots are fans of. I'm sure Brady, Belichick, and the owner are fans of Ted Nugent.
Oh yeah. We're gonna leave the politics out of the show this week, John. All right?
You caught that. I'm glad.
Oh yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, but I think if it was Allen, I would probably pick Buffalo. I don't think that Barkley can go on the road and win. Call me a purist. But I agree, Tennessee loses the games they should win, and they'll probably play crappy in this game, but I still think they'll win. I just think Barkley's going to turn the ball over and, lead to like a 14-10 Titans victory. But
yeah, and a big thing for the Titans, Taylor Lewan is coming back from a 4-game
that's
vacation suspension.
Huge for them.
He's left tackle. He's and they have been running pretty well behind Henry, so... And, Mariota, he has those games. He doesn't turn the ball over, but he does have a game where he doesn't move the ball at all. So, But Luan coming back, I would lean towards the Titans either way, even if Allen plays. But once again, as I said before, when you expect the Titans, when you pick them and you expect them to win, they just that's the one that they usually lose.
Mariota is like, right when he's about to get freaking benched every time. He has the big game, and he did it again last week. They played phenomenally in that game against the Falcons, right? I mean, I didn't think they could go in there and win, and I don't know if it says more about the Falcons, like lack of defense and just lack of. I mean, the Falcons. I kind of thought that they would be a little bit of a different team this year. That they had the injuries and stuff last year, but they pretty much just seem like the same old Falcons, right? Where the sum does not equal all the parts. They got all these studs, but I mean, good teams don't lose at home to the Titans, right?
Yeah, they have pretty much the same team that went to the Super Bowl, but to me, it looks like they're what you call a sneaky bad. They might be dropping into like that bottom 6 with Washington, Arizona, and them. That's how they're looking, especially when you lose at home like that.
I don't think they're that bad. We'll see. We'll see. So they're playing another schizophrenic team. Talk about a game that's impossible to pick, right? Atlanta at Houston.
Oh, God.
Neither. Who the hell knows what team is going to show up for either of those teams, right?
That AFC South is yeah. If you bet any money on a team with the involving an AFC South, if you bet any money, you have a real gambling problem because there's no way you can figure out the AFC South, the 8-8 division, I call it.
Houston, right? Houston, week 3. Goes to they won't win at San Diego. And then they come home for the Panthers week 4. And I do like the Panthers, and I think they've been playing better. Their defense has been great. But, to only put up 10 points, lose 16-10, to let Christian McCaffrey just run all over you the whole game long. And so it's, you have these, it's such a weird game, right? Because you have Atlanta and Houston are both supposed to be pretty high-powered offenses. They're both coming off performances against teams that have good defenses, but maybe not elite defenses, where they each scored 10 points at home. So it's like, who the hell knows? I'm picking the Falcons just because, I think other people will pick Houston. So I'm going the other way in this one.
I'm going hard Texans. I think they represent a home, but with that Texans-Panthers game, it came down to a couple players, and it's something we talk about. Like it's 13-10, and the Panthers have the ball, and Watt has the quarterback Allen right in his grasp, and the quarterback gets away, and that kind of typifies the Texans. Like everything's built around J.J. Watt, and he could barely make an impact. Because he on defense, as a defensive end, he could barely make an impact on the game. A lot of times, the ball is away from him. But that was the one time where he had the game in his hands and he let it slip away. And then the other big play. Meanwhile, the Panthers franchise guy McCaffrey with that terrific first down catch.
Oh, where he slid for it
with one hand. Yeah, he tipped it up with one hand, reeled it in, and then slid that extra yard. That's just. Those two plays were the game right there. One franchise player made it, and the other franchise player came up short.
Yeah, and you can make the argument that he is the best non-quarterback offensive player in the NFL right now. He's amazing.
Yes.
He reminds me of Marshall Faulk in his prime, right? Just a guy who can run it, he can catch it, he's tough, he's fast. On those, and 2 weeks ago he had that long touchdown run where he's running away from guys, and
yep.
He's the best. He's definitely the best running back in the NFL right now, and you can really make that argument. So we'll get to see, and I know it's been a little bit of a running joke on here. I picked the Panthers to be very, very good this year. They started off terrible, and now Kyle Allen is bringing them back. But I do think this week is a big game for them. They can prove. This is a game that they should win, but it's not a gimme. So Jacksonville coming to Carolina, both teams coming in hot on the backs of backup quarterbacks. With Jacksonville and Carolina both winning 2 straight. Jacksonville with the mustache. Gardner Minshew, Carolina, Kyle Allen, both really good defenses. Should be I'm pretty excited to watch this game. This is going to be a sneaky good game to watch this week. And I think the team that wins this game, you could make a case is kind of going places, kind of erase the bad start and is really looking good. Carolina at home, if you're a good team, you got to win this game. I'm going to pick them, but would not shock me if the mustache goes in and gets it done. Really intriguing game.
Minshew magic. I'm going the other way because it looks like the Panthers that they play better on the road. Kind of like Cleveland I mentioned earlier. The Panthers really haven't brought it at home, and their offensive line is really banged up. And I think that Jaguars front four is going to eat up. The Panthers are missing a couple starters in their offensive line, and that's one of the strengths of the Jaguars. And I think they're going to eat them up. Even though I think we just got word that Mr. Ramsey is back, or
he's not playing.
His neck, his back, his pussy, or his crack, or whatever is hurt.
Ooh.
So Coughlin really insulted him. This week, Mr. Khan, the owner, had to come and try to talk him down, and talk him into his feelings, give him a a stress ball and what do you call one of those dogs again?
It's a service dog, John.
He bought him a service dog to make him feel better, but unfortunately it hasn't worked. Mr. Ramsey's still not playing, but I'm going to go with some Minshew magic to squeak it out over your Panthers.
So we shall see. I think the Ramsey thing is big, and I know the Panthers did lose 2 games at home, but I mean they had the compromised Cam Newton back there. I don't think it was a home thing. I think they're just a better team without him right now until he's healthy. So we'll see. Like I said, I mean they get Tampa Bay at home the next week. So if the Panthers can win this game, they got a great shot at sitting at 4-2 after 6.
I'm sorry to correct you, but that game is in London.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Once in a blue moon, I get to correct you.
You nailed it.
About twice a year. But yeah, that'll be your 9:30 breakfast game on the following week.
It does say 9:30 a.m. You know what? That's why you're here, John. That's why you're here to correct your unprepared co-host. I appreciate it.
Once in a while.
So
usually it's the other way around.
Real intriguing game though. I'm excited for that one. Another one, and I think the whole country is going to be watching this one because there's only 2 4:00 games. We have the Green Bay Packers heading to Dallas to play the Cowboys. Both teams coming off tough losses, games that they were favored to win that they lost. The Cowboys' loss was a little more unexpected to me than the Packers' loss, as we dove into last week. The Packers really were kind of pretenders, I think, at 3-0, and their run defense got exposed in a big way by Philly, who's not even really known for their running game. They just ran wild on them, which you would think would bode not well for playing the Cowboys and Zeke. Much better running game than the Eagles. We also got word today, it's the kind of one of the benefits of taping the show later in the week, that Devontae Adams not playing, huge loss for them. They're very clearly, I mean, their number 1 receiver. So that offense is going to have a little trouble moving the ball, I think. Dallas, coming off a weird loss to the Saints. The Saints defense played great in that game, but the Cowboys did as well. You would think the Cowboys going in, if they were going to hold them to 12, would win, but wasn't meant to be. So what do you think here? I tend to lean toward the Cowboys getting right, and maybe getting right in a big way and really like kind of stomping the Packers without Devontae.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers 3-0 lifetime in Dallas, but I think he's going to take his first one here because of the reasons that you spit out. No Adams, and it's kind of mind-boggling that the Packers weren't prepared to get Rodgers another weapon this year. Their receiving corps really they haven't replaced the guys they lost like Jordy Nelson and Cobb. The Valdez Scantling. I guess the receiver from Notre Dame is hurt. Equinemius Brown. I haven't seen him this year.
He's hurt.
Yeah, he looked good last year, but he hasn't been able to stay on the field this year. So Rodgers and even Jimmy Graham, a couple of those plays late, and the coach got dinged for not running the ball, but a couple of those passes were right there to Jimmy Graham, and he tried to go up and get it with one hand, and kind of like the Odell's syndrome, where he could have just made the simple catch going up with 2 hands. He's so huge as it is. Sometimes he relies on that one-hand catch, and it failed him in that Eagles game. But also you pointed out the run defense, how Philly just ran him over. If Philly did that, what do you think Dallas?
Exactly.
The great wall of Dallas and Zeke going to do? So
especially pissed off. Like Dallas is pissed off about that.
Yeah.
And Zeke did shit in that game. I mean, they got their run game got stuffed the whole game.
Yep, and they want to finally put on because, like I said, Aaron's 3-0 in their stadium, so they want to put that first one on him. So for once, Mr. Cowboy, we agree. I think it's going to be Cowboys easy too.
All right. So there you go, guys. It's going to be a laugher, unfortunately. The only other game on at that time is Broncos Chargers, which probably isn't going to be great either. So,
ooh, that's not going to be much of a laugher. Oof.
Ugly.
That's going to be more of a crier.
Agreed.
Yeah. Bronco games have been rough to watch this year.
So we talked a little bit about Tampa Bay when we talked about the Rams, but I wanted to talk about that game a little bit more, kind of a look back.
Yeah, that was like the upset of the year, I would call it.
And it wasn't like they locked into it. They're Winston and that offense they were incredible in that game. I mean, they were completely unstoppable the whole game long. And you heard it coming into the season. Arians is the quarterback whisperer. If anybody can fix Jameis, it's him. Winston has always had all the physical tools and a bit of the clutch gene. He's always had that. But it's just he's always been kind of mental mistakes, and it's kind of a bonehead out there sometimes.
Every week he has that one pass. They should have won this a lot easier. And that one
throw
pass
the
where
pick six.
Threw it right to him with the lead. And he did that the week before versus Giants, where he wasn't even pressured. He just gets in. He gets into it where he doesn't throw the ball smoothly. He every time he tries to aim it, or where he throws it like he's playing darts or something, where he overthinks it. He tries to aim it. That's where he gets into trouble, and always has at least one or two ugly picks a week. But if he could tone that down, he makes some beautiful throws.
But hear me out here. Hear me out. Do you think that he's fixed it? Do you think Arians has fixed it to a point and you're going to see a better Winston going forward, or do you think this game was more of an aberration?
No, I think it's just going to be a matter of every game. He's just going to have those 2-3 throws no matter what. And it's not just him. You see a lot of quarterbacks. You go back in the days like Brett Favre. I could relate with Eli. Would do the same thing. He would have these ugly picks a game, and otherwise he would be having a great game. But just 2 or 3 throws and if they're in the wrong time, they could ruin it for you. So I think it's just always going to be there where he's got that aiming thing. So I don't think Arians can do nothing about that.
We'll see. So they have this is a really interesting game, actually. So you have Tampa flying high, coming in against New Orleans, going to New Orleans. New Orleans also 2-0 with Bridgewater, which is a lot better than I thought they were going to be. And it really hasn't been the offense. Kamara had that one good game, but in general, especially last week, the defense was they had the Cowboys coming in, whose offense was playing as well as anybody in the NFL, and they just shut them down and won the game 12-10. With that said, I think there's a real cap on how many points the Saints can score with Teddy in there. And do you see? I don't know if I think of it. I don't know that I would pick this, but there's a world where Tampa can go in there and score 24 points and it's enough to win the game. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do, but I think the Saints be going to be extra prepared because if you remember last year, week 1, the Bucks took them inside New Orleans and where they caught the Saints sleeping, and that was with Breeze. And I think the Saints defense is much improved over last year, and they're not going to let that happen again. Although I do see a slight chance. Lattimore's kind of hit and miss. With Mike Evans has had some huge games against him, and there's some other games where he shut down Mike Evans. So we're gonna see, but also the Tampa's got a lot of weapons. Godwin's been terrific
a stud
too.
He's an absolute. He's a very good player. And both the running backs are playing well too.
And their defense has given they've given up a lot of points, but Shaq Barrett makes plays. If he could force Bridgewater into a turnover or two, which but Teddy's good with that, and I think he's going to manage the game, and the Saints will pull it out.
I think I like the Saints too, but if you're somebody who is looking for an upset for whatever reason, I do think that Tampa's a very, very live underdog in this game. And
yeah, Tampa should be 3-1. They're a gay kick from being 3-1.
That's true. Absolutely true. Gay was better this week, though.
Oh yeah,
no issues. Hey, John, let's take a look here. What haven't we covered? Should we talk Ravens? Talk Ravens Browns. We haven't talked much about that.
Yes.
I know you've got some thoughts.
I spit on how I was impressed mostly with the Browns defense, and not impressed with the Ravens defense. Earl Thomas, either coming off that injury, he's at that dangerous age where once you pass 30, and if you struggle a little, you either washed up or maybe he gets it back. But there's some issues there with Earl Thomas. He's a long time Seattle. He's used to doing what he wants back there. Now maybe he's having a little problems taking over the leadership and just walking right into the Ravens defense and taking over. But they've been getting up a lot of big plays, a lot of yards. So that's something to keep an eye on, whether that continues or whether they get that fixed.
Yeah, agreed. What do you make of Baltimore? I mean, they played a bad game, right? I mean, their defense played awful. Lamar was only average.
I wouldn't be surprised if it picks up. Pittsburgh, no matter what, even with Ben or without, Pittsburgh's going to play them tough. And usually their games go down, just like last night with the division rivals you saw with Seattle and LA. Usually their games come down to a play or two or a kick or two. So
yeah, you would think it is going to be a tight one.
Yeah, I think the Steelers can hang in there.
I do. I like Baltimore. I just the Steelers with Rudolph. I mean what they did. I mean, give them all the credit in the world for that game plan on Monday night with the Wildcat with Samuels and Connor. It was very, very effective against just a god awful opponent, though. I mean, the Bengals are a total dumpster fire. Like, we're not going to talk.
True, but they did what they're supposed to do. They whipped them. They did. It wasn't close. So.
But I don't know that gimmicky offense is going to work against Baltimore. They're going to do it again. They don't trust Rudolph to throw too much. Like, I mean, every pass is within 6 yards of the line of scrimmage, except the one play a game that Deontay Johnson's open.
Yeah, plus the weapons, though. Schuster's banged up.
Connor's going to play for sure, and Juju looks like he's going to play.
Yeah, and they have problems. Moncrief with the drops, and he's out of there, and he was terrible.
The kid Johnson looks good. I mean, he's got touchdown passes 2 weeks in a row. And they could get Vance McDonald back soon, which would be a help for them. He's a pretty good tight end. But with all that said, I think Baltimore rights the ship. I just think, kind of talent wins out in this one. The Steelers' defense will have to stand on their head a little bit to keep them in the game, and I see them having some trouble containing Lamar specifically. They're not a real fast defense. Like, I could see a big play or two to Hollywood, like we haven't seen since week 1.
Yeah, or Andrews. The Steelers have problems covering tight ends. But this would be a game for John Connor to break out. He's only averaging 2.9 yards a rush.
Yeah, I mean, he played well. James Conner had a good game against.
James, thank you, John.
We were thinking about the Terminator.
Yeah. I saw the preview for the new one. It looks great.
It does. I'm a big fan. A big fan of the franchise. Obviously, you are as well.
A gray beard Arnold looks great. Yeah.
And
But
I mean, Connor had a good game against Cincy, and some of those receiving yards that he had really were like running yards. They were little shovel passes from Jalen Samuels.
And I'm concerned about the Ravens' D, how they let Chubb run through him. So I might lean towards the Steelers squeaking us out with Connor having a breakout game.
I mean, we're not going to spend any time on it all, but I say Arizona gets on the board this year in Cincinnati.
Let's give Zach Taylor his first W at home.
I think the Cardinals are going to score 40 points in that game. Cincinnati, their defense is awful. I mean, this is really, really bad.
Looks like Miami has a competition for the Tua tank.
We'll see. They could be in a class by themselves. They might go 0-16. I mean, they could be the first team that's like double-digit underdogs every game they play. But, John, I think we covered all the big ones, my friend.
Yeah, beautiful.
So, guys, as we always say, thank you for the Twitter shout-out, by the way. We saw the Twitter shout-out. Thanks so much.
Somebody
you did not mention John for whatever reason.
Somebody complimented the Cowboys for picking the Eagles. Yeah, thank you very much. I did too, but that's okay. I like to take the L's, so it's more fun to take the L's.
But for our listeners, as I always say, please feel free to reach out to us. However you can communicate with us, whether that be the live chats, Facebook Messenger, if we're friends, feel free to call me, whatever, And we'll have you on the show. We'll answer your questions on the show. We're looking for content at all times. So by all means, John and I can just sit here and talk football. But it's and then the last thing I'm going to do here is tell you about everything we got going on at Place to Be Nation. If you just give me one moment. John, got any quick plugs while I am while I'm checking out the site to see what we have?
Yes, I've been working hard with my ECW crew, the king and queen of PTBN, the ECW the Extreme three-way dance with JT and Jenny. We've been pumping them out weekly.
You recorded that one last night, right?
Yeah, the new one will drop next Wednesday. We just dropped one this Wednesday, and we'll have another one
Beautiful.
next week. Sure.
All right, so I can tell you what else is going on here. So on the Place to Be Nation pop feed, which is where you find This Week in the NFL, first off, you want to check out all our other weekly shows, including the hard-traveling fanboys, as they continue their longbook hunters escapades by reading a Legion of Superheroes story called The Great Darkness Saga. DC For You kicks off a month of DC Comics' best horror offerings with a list of Russell's and Todd's favorite scary DC stories, plus a look at the Keanu Reeves Constantine film from 2005. I actually saw that in the theater. Underrated flick. I liked it. As you know, This Week in the NFL hits weekly as well, as we recap all the games and preview all the games and just give you everything you need as an NFL fan. Siblings Kevin and Mary host the Brother-Sister Rewatch podcast. On episode 18, they bring you The Office Season 3, episodes 7 and 8. Jenny and Mirandia share a huge announcement on Geek and Sassy number 36, and then reveal the winner of their giveaway contest. Can't wait for that. On Laugh-In Theater number 12, Andy welcomes David Sunday to live watch So I Married an Axe Murderer. Mike Myers, right, John?
Yes, sir. One of my favorites.
For some reason, I always confuse that one and Throw Mama from the Train. It's because I'm old, right?
That's way older. That's the 80s.
That's Goonies, right? The Goonies.
Billy Crystal and Danny DeVito. Yeah, the old one. Mama was the one from the Goonies, sure. But that's 80s. Axe Murder was 90s.
Got it. Thank you, sir. On Looking Forward, Looking Back, it's the summer movie recap and wager results. Andy is joined by Mirandia, Scott, Tim, and Russell to see who won. The Greatest Song of the 80s tournament continues. We're in the finals right now. In a travesty of justice, Don't Stop Believin'. Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. Got a little frog in the throat. I just got choked up there thinking about how Don't Stop Believin' beat Purple Rain, which I thought was a shoo-in to win the whole thing. But Don't Stop Believin' and I believe Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses are your finalists for Greatest Song of the 80s. I believe Guns N' Roses has a little bit of a lead right now, so feel free, go on to Facebook or Twitter and weigh in. And there's also going to be a new tournament coming this fall that we'll be announcing. We don't know what it is yet.
I was disappointed. Was When Doves Cry was my favorite, but that one did it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was looking at Under Pressure and Purple Rain. I thought it would come down to, but hey, different strokes, I say.
Queen had a good run. Both their songs made it far. Yeah,
they did. Check out a brand new podcast feed brought to you by our very own Jennifer Smith, the previously mentioned queen of PTBN. The Jenny Position can be found on Podbean, iTunes, and your favorite podcaster app. It will be the new home of Geek and Sassy, Talkin' Pop, Freak Out Drive-In, and lots of fun new content. For the month of October, Place to Be Nation is holding our first annual Halloween movie challenge. We're giving you suggestions on what movies you should watch leading up to All Hallows Eve. And when you do, go on social media and let us know by using the hashtag PTBN Halloween Movie Challenge. It's a heck of a hashtag, big one. But why stop there? Every time you watch a scary or silly horror movie or special, let us know and we'll add it to our list. Over at the PTBN Wrestling feed on the Place to Be podcast, JT and Scott begin a new decade as Steve Bennett joins them for the 11590 MSG House Show. Wrestling Warzone is back with episode number 30 featuring WCW Clash of the Champions 32. On main event number 134, Scott, Nate, and Steve preview the Wednesday Night War between AEW and NXT, plus New Japan Classic match pick. Ben Zaney interviews Ian Rigaboni plus Marco and Logan Stunt on episode number 23 of Row 1, Seat 1, and then welcomes Impact Wrestling's Ethan Page on a very special episode number 24. Every Wednesday on PlaceToBeNation.com, we've got the most interesting and unexpectedly funny stories on the World Wide Web in Glenn's Weekly Walk. For college football fans, Scott Criscolo and Logan Crossland have their weekly Campus Hot Takes, looking back at the previous week and looking ahead to the biggest matchup. Catch their weekly column every Tuesday afternoon. It's like a Blue Plate special in that way. Also, and if you're doing your online shopping over at Amazon.com, be sure to click on the Amazon banner on the right side of the Place to Be Nation homepage, or use www.placetobenation.com/Amazon, and it takes you right to Amazon and helps out PTBN with no cost to you. Check out our social media pages and message board at www.bigelow34.proboards.com for information on joining our greatest wrestler ever pay-per-view and TV match ever project. Get in on the conversation today and start researching your list. Got it all out, John. I think that covers everything. What do you think?
Yeah, hotcakes.
Hot takes, baby. That's a great show. I'm not a big college football guy, surprisingly, but those guys do a great job. It's always they always give you your fill, as they say. So,
Yes, sir.
2 days, John. Big Sunday football. Can't wait. We'll be going back and forth during the day. We'd love for others to join us in that. We're looking forward to the live chats on Sunday. I love Sunday. It's my favorite day of the year, so favorite day of the week and the year when the Patriots win the Super Bowl. So I think that's it, buddy. I think we came in under an hour.
Yes, that's good, man. Got a good Monday one too. So looking forward to it.
All right, so everybody enjoy. Reach out to us. And so for Mr. D'Amato, I'm the Cowboy, and I'm out of here.
Okay.